Yeah, so how long did you hold the Kimmel Center, first of all?
40 hours.
Yeah.
What?
It was,
Did you stay up the whole time, or did people sleep? Or
There's a little sleeping that happened. Try to
somewhere.
have more sleeping at your occupation.
Yeah.
It's very helpful to be thinking
Massage
clearly.
circles, definitely keep everybody calm. Things get a little tense at
Things can get a little tense.
Right.
But they came and busted in on us. We occupied.
What time did that happen, and did you have any warning before it happened?
Well, it was a little warning. It came. What they told us is they came in the morning on Friday. The administration had refused to acknowledge our demands, and they finally said, "We want to sit down and have a conversation with you." We were like, "Yes, that's what we've been shooting for. We want the administration to acknowledge us and actually enter a dialogue." So we send 5 delegates that we all consents to. We chose these people, set them up for the meeting. And when they were sat down, the administration said, "Oh, by the way, y'all are suspended, all 5 of you, and you can't go back in the cafeteria." They
So it's like a
lied to
trap.
us.
Yeah,
it was like what the
completely a trap.
conquistadors used to do when they'd lure people together and say, "Oh, let's have a meeting. We'll meet up in this hut." And then when all the political figures would get in there, they would set it on fire. And
Wow.
burn them. That was definitely their tactic.
pretty low.
I agree. I think
It was
that.
a little bit like
Pretty
that.
And then we got texts from people upstairs saying, they pulled the plug. They've got us.
Actually,
Don't
wouldn't
send
let us-
5 more.
Actually, they wouldn't entirely. What happened was one of our friend took out her phone to text, and they grabbed it from her and confiscated it. We had to each go to the bathroom one by one and text our friends.
Oh my gosh.
And then we found out, and we started to get prepared. The guards were moving towards the door, and at that point, I moved out to the balcony to tell the crowd, because we had a huge
Sure.
crowd gathered, and the press was out there.
There's a
And
lot
I
of
want-
solidarity.
Yeah, and rightfully so. And I just want to say thanks. That's the biggest thing we need right now is solidarity. People to come out, and speak on our behalf and say that they support us. Because right now the administration is trying to come down on us, really hard for our actions. I mean, we understood going in there that we are violating rules of the school, but at the same time, the school needs to recognize that this was a peaceful protest, and that was the mission. It
And
wasn't
that
as
you
if students
tried
were just-
other channels.
Yeah, that we weren't just there kicking and screaming, that we weren't just trying to hold
Was the
place
Kimmel
down.
Center left intact? I mean, was there any destruction? Or?
It was pretty much intact.
Yeah. What about outside? I know that some folks reported that it got sort of rough outside in the street.
Yes.
did.
What happened exactly there? I've seen some of the video. That what happened from your eye view?
What happened was
Point of view.
it was actually interesting. I was at the door. I was one of the negotiators, and I was at the door at the time we never entered negotiations, but trying to communicate with the people outside. And there had been, the New York Times estimated 1,000 people in the street who had gathered in solidarity, students excited, ready to go, ready to take back their university. And NYU had called in the police. It had police barricades up in front of the entire building. It was all blockaded off. No one could come in and out. It was a very militarized situation, and the students decided that this was their school and this was their street, and they were going to take it back. So they moved the barricades, took over the street, reclaimed that street, and made it clear to the administration that this was our space, and that they were absolutely in solidarity with us, and that they could not forcibly evict us from that building. And in a lot of ways, I think that was what kept us in that building that extra night. The university wanted to evict us and couldn't do it because
that crowd
there would have shamed them.
And then the actual NYPD started to move the barricades back a little bit because they were afraid that the students were in support of us, as clearly they were. And at that point, the administration wasn't allowing food to come in from our friends and such. And so we'd been talking to a lot of them, and a lot of them had wanted to come in. And as the police pushed them back, a few protesters in the front, like I was on the balcony watching, started to push back. And the police officers immediately brought the batons out. And I watched, several students the mace came out, the pepper spray, and the police were not gentle. And this is something, if you look at NYU's statement and treatment of the situation, you'd imagine it never happened. In their official statement, they say there were no arrests, though they do say no arrests of the people inside, because none of us were arrested. But those people standing out there in support of us were brutally attacked by NYPD.
And one student was arrested.
And was charged, with all of these Trump
Inciting
charges.
to riot,
Inciting to
right, I
riot.
saw
The student was not inciting a riot in the least, but he was trying to see, and he started to climb a little light post or something so that he could see what was going on. and the police grabbed him and slammed him with everything they could. And the, NYU is refused to say that this even happened. They won't even admit that this happened on their property right in front of one of their schools because they wouldn't talk to their students. It was because they were putting it in a stalemate, that they were sitting there on their hands doing absolutely nothing, trying to wait us out. And
Now, did you expect NYU to play hardball like this, or did you really think they would come and talk to you? And
That's an interesting question. I think that the way that they treated the situation is emblematic of the way NYU treats its students and the way it relates to its students. I mean, our entire struggle here is about democratic participation in our university. We see this as our university, and we want to have a say in how it's run. And from day one, they've been ignoring us, and they continued to ignore us. They made it clear that they don't care about what students have to say, that they're not interested in us democratically participating in how our university is run, and that, quite frankly, they see us as customers. They view their university as a corporation that is run while they claim to be a nonprofit. They run it very much as if it were for profit.
well, it is for some people's profit.
It is for
There's no doubt about that.
Nonprofit doesn't mean you don't make a profit.
Oh yeah,
What-
and
what-
John Sexton makes $1.4 million a year.
It has some more to do with your tax status. Now, what I'd like to ask you is, for folks out there who might take a jaundiced view of all this and say, to go to NYU, you're privileged kids, and that you always had the opportunity to go to City College or something like that. If you don't like it, blah, blah, blah. What do you say to that kind of thing?
I say that this is something that comes up in politics a lot in general, that if you don't like the way your country's going, maybe you should leave. And I think that that is the antithesis of what we should be doing as citizens, as active citizens in our schools, in our job, in our workplaces, in our countries. That we need to be proud of it. I'm proud of NYU. It gives me a great education. Don't get me wrong. There are issues I have with it, and I'm not willing to abandon it simply because it has a few problems. What I'm going to do is take my dedication and love for it and make it better. Just as the same thing we need to be doing with this country. We need to move it forward. We don't need to just abandon it and leave it, because then we just leave it to ruin with the dogs, and that's not acceptable.
We're also
So we only have a couple of minutes. I was going to give this folk 1 second to try and maybe say
See if it's
something.
about exposure.
Are you going to say something?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Real quick, this topic is great. Could you continue it next week also?
Next week we're having a debate,
We're having a debate on
2 weeks
Gaza
from now.
next week.
so I hope you'll tune in for that. We're going to go 7 to 7:30
Right.
and 8 to 8:30.
And you can see this. It'll be on YouTube. If you go to our website, which is youtube.com/letemtalk, LETEMTALK. All you have to do is Google our names, Paul DiRienzo and or Joan Musi, and you'll come right to it, okay?
All right, thanks
And
for
you can
calling.
watch it there. I'll have
you.
this up in a couple of days. All right, we have about 2 minutes. Where do things stand now? Where do they go from here?
So we've had our first informal meetings. Tomorrow they're going to give us what is more or less a plea bargain, and we'll see. We decided we're doing this collectively. All of us students who are
So
suspended.
you're all going to either take it or not
leave
take
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna come
Nobody's going to
together.
go out on their
Right,
own.
We're going to
Okay.
sit down because we make all our decisions collectively. We act collectively, and we're going to take the repercussions collectively. And so we're waiting for tomorrow to see what happens, and hopefully the administration realizes what's going on here. And because one of the big issues is we're all suspended at the moment until
Are
further
you concerned
notice.
about expulsion, or?
Absolutely. The way that punishment works, crime and punishment works at NYU is that there's no crime per punishment. That there's like a list of crimes and a list of punishments, and any can match to
Or
any.
they can pick whatever they like.
So we can have anything from a warning to expulsion, and as a scare tactic, they have refused to tell us which is most likely. So we could absolutely be facing expulsion.
Okay.
What-
Go ahead.
One of the real worries about it is just that they've suspended us summarily at this point. So tomorrow, if they give us a horrible offer that we disagree with, we're still suspended from classes. That's guilty until proven innocent. That's the opposite of the way a democratic process should be.
Very interesting. Do you have an attorney, I hope? Or do you have attorneys?
We have
Go-
several.
We all have.
Who's representing you? Any one attorney, or you each have your own?
National Lawyers
We
Guild.
have people from the
great.
National Lawyers Guild. They've come out and they've offered space to us, and they've been really kind.
All right, give
Okay.
your website again.
Marie Lewis
before
and
it's
Drew
over.
Phillips from NYU.
Yeah.
Give us your website, yes.
If you want to check it out, it's www.takebacknyu.com. That's takebacknyu.com, and check us out.
Sign the petition. There's a
Yeah.
petition to support us. There's also form letters that you should send to our administration telling them to cease every disciplinary action and to meet our demands.
All right, last few seconds. If you had the Mr. Sexton, the head of NYU, in front of you, what would you say to him?
I would say that this is our university and that you need to engage with us and to respect our needs and to involve us in the process of our governance.
All right. Thank you very much, and we hope you have a good luck tomorrow when you face these folks. And I have some friends who are going to help, who are offering to help people find a place to stay.
Awesome.
And
Thank
stuff
you
in the
very
meantime.
much.
Thank you.
We will work on that.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Right.
And
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
See you
It was
next
great.
week. Great. Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
job.